I want to get to Capitol Hill. Squad members holding a news conference yet again calling for the ceasefire in Israel-Hamas war. Several representatives of the so-called squad right now speaking live. Let's listen live.
Be killed indiscriminately before the United States acts. How many more times does Benjamin Netanyahu and his far-right extremist annexationist government thumb their nose at our president? Netanyahu and his cabinet make clear on almost daily basis they will not abide by any red lines the United States sets. They will not minimize civilian casualties. They will not allow any self-determination for the Palestinian people. They will illegally occupy Gaza indefinitely. They make it clear on almost daily basis, nowhere is safe in Gaza, including the places they tell Palestinians to flee to last month. Netanyahu and his government make it clear on almost daily basis they will view women and children as legitimate targets and will use any means necessary to reoccupy and control Gaza. And now they are invading the West Bank. They make it clear on almost daily basis they will commit war crimes as the world watches, using white phosphorus reportedly supplied by the United States government. Yet our government continues to send them bombs that are being used to kill children. Our government continues to sell them ammunition. Our government continues to ask for another $10 billion from U.S. taxpayers to supply the Israeli military with funds they don't need for a war on people that is unnecessary.
All right, again, you're always going to see two sides here on National Report. So, essentially this is not an echo chamber. You can understand what others are saying and how they view this conflict here in the Middle East, specifically Israel and Hamas. And there's the other side really hitting hard on Benjamin Netanyahu, defending his country, defending the slaughtering of his people, the raping of his people. They're taking this to task of what happened on October 7th. You see Representative Ilhan Omar, AOC, and others speaking out about this. I want to bring in, if we can, Thane Rosenbaum, distinguished professor at Touro University. Brian Lieb, also the executive director of Combat Anti-Semitism Everywhere PAC. Brian, I'll go to you first. Can you give us your comments? I mean, listening there to the so-called squad members and their take on the Israel-Hamas war.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Listen, I'm listening to Ilhan Omar speak. And you can hear the venom in her when she says the word Israeli. And that's par for the course with Ilhan Omar. She has a deep hatred for the state of Israel. And honestly, guys, she is just such a hypocrite. Not once in this speech is she going to call for Hamas to release the hostages. Not once in this speech is she going to condemn Hamas for the continued rocket barrages that they launch against Israel. It's always just one-sided from her. And yes, it's horrible that innocent people are dying in this war, but unfortunately, that's what happens in war. But we have to put the onus on the terrorist group in Gaza that has started this war. That's Hamas, and that's who Ilhan Omar and her friends have not once ever condemned.
You know, Thane, when you think about the influence that we're hearing from some of these lawmakers, what might that look like when it comes to President Biden and how he views the ongoing war in Israel?
Emma, the influence of anywhere is just on universities and people who are Democrats who identify with the progressive agenda. It's not just listen to her side. Everything she said is factually wrong. Everything we just heard. It is not true that Israel is killing indiscriminately. They are targeting military installations where Hamas keeps civilians beside them. That's not indiscriminate killing of civilians. It is not true that Israel is opposed to self-determination of the Palestinian people. They've offered 5 opportunities for statehood. So has the Biden administration. Simply not true. So, we're continuing to hear, words that are distortions from what the actual facts on the ground are. Israel is not looking to occupy Gaza. And guess what? They weren't occupying Gaza even when the war started. There wasn't a single Jew that lived in Gaza. So it's not just the venom, as Brian points out. Every sentence is factually wrong. So if you're a stupid college kid and you're being indoctrinated by your professor, yeah, that sounds impressive. But if I was standing there, she would be dead, toast, because I would be going, no, this is factually wrong. This is factually wrong. Everything you're saying is wrong.
Yeah, you mean you'd correct her in real time, and therefore students would know
Emma,
what's going
put
on.
me up. Put me in the game, coach. She would look ridiculous.
Yeah. If you two could stand by, we wanted to keep this conversation going. Speaking of anti-Semitism on college campus, did you see this? Dozens of students were actually arrested after protesting at Brown University, staging a sit-in, refusing to leave until their demands were met. We've got those stories and much more coming up on National Report.